Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you real plain for a minute, because sometimes the truth doesn't whisper, it knocks. We've all heard the phrases, the sweet promises, the late night talks that feel deep and meaningful. We've all felt that rush that says, this could be it, but then something happens. The calls slow down. The texts fade. The plans stay plans. And suddenly, the person who said they loved you is nowhere to be found. Now, here's the hard truth. If he truly loves you, he doesn't disappear. Ladies and gentlemen, let me slow this thing down and talk to you from a place of truth, because real love does not play hide and seek. Real love does not clock in when it feels like it and clock out when it gets uncomfortable. Real love shows up consistently, not sometimes, not when it's convenient, not when it benefits one person more than the other. Consistency is not a bonus in love. It is the baseline. You see, when someone truly loves you, their presence becomes natural. You don't have to ask where they went. You don't have to wonder why the energy changed. You don't have to replay conversations in your head trying to find where things went wrong. Love that is real does not require detective work. It does not require patience that hurts. It does not require you to shrink your needs so someone else can stay comfortable. A disappearing man is not a mysterious man. He is a man showing you exactly who he is. When a man values you, he stays connected. He checks in. He makes space. He makes time. Even when life is busy, even when things are stressful, even when the world feels heavy, love finds a way to remain present. Absence is not caused by lack of time. Absence is caused by lack of priority. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They confuse silence with depth. They mistake distance for complexity. They think maybe he's quiet because he's thinking deeply or growing or figuring things out. But let me tell you something simple and clear. People protect what they care about. If you matter, he will not risk losing you by disappearing. If he knows your heart is involved, he will not casually step away without explanation. Consistency is the evidence of intention. Consistency is the evidence of intention. Words can be beautiful, charming, poetic even, but consistency is what proves they mean something. Anybody can say, I love you. Anybody can make promises late at night when emotions are high, but love is proven in regular effort. It's proven in showing up when there is nothing to gain except connection. It's proven when nobody is watching. When a man truly loves you, his presence becomes stable. You don't feel emotional whiplash. You don't feel secure one week and abandoned the next. You don't feel like you're constantly waiting for him to return to the version of himself you first met. Love does not come and go. Infatuation does that. Ego does that. Convenience does that. Love stays. Now listen closely, because this part matters. When someone disappears, your instinct might be to chase clarity. You want answers. You want closure. You want reassurance. But the disappearance itself is the answer. Silence is communication. Distance is a decision. If someone chooses to step away instead of stepping up, That choice speaks louder than any explanation they could give you later. A lot of pain comes from trying to hold on to someone who is already letting go. You feel it in your spirit before you admit it to yourself. The delayed replies, the canceled plans, the vague excuses, the energy that no longer matches your effort. That's not love fading accidentally. That's love never fully committing in the first place. And here's the truth that frees you. You don't need to compete for love that is meant for you. You don't need to audition. You don't need to prove your worth. When love is real, it recognizes value without being reminded. You are not asking for too much when you ask for presence. You are asking the wrong person. Real love feels steady. It feels grounded. It feels safe, not boring, not dull, but secure. Secure enough that you can breathe. Secure enough that you can be yourself. Secure enough that you don't have to fear abandonment every time life gets quiet. Love that disappears is not love that was ever fully there. Sometimes we hold on because we are afraid of starting over. We convince ourselves that partial love is better than no love at all. But let me tell you something powerful. Half love will drain you more than being alone ever will. Being alone gives you peace. Being with someone who disappears gives you anxiety. When you accept inconsistency, you teach people how to treat you. When you keep welcoming someone back after they vanish without accountability, you send a message that your heart can wait indefinitely. But your heart is not a waiting room. Your heart is a home. And only someone willing to stay deserves a key. If a man truly loves you, you won't have to wonder where you stand. You won't have to guess if you matter. You won't have to hold on tighter every time he pulls away. Love that is real does not disappear. It remains. It grows. It shows up again and again, especially when it would be easier not to wait. And once you understand that, you stop chasing presence from people who have already chosen absence. You start valuing consistency over chemistry, peace over potential, and truth over hope. That hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that might sting a little, but truth is supposed to wake you up, not rock you to sleep. Love does not speak in promises alone. Love speaks in effort. Love speaks in action. Love speaks in what someone does consistently, not in what they say emotionally. And when effort disappears, silence is not confusion. It is an answer. A lot of people fall in love with words. Words can be beautiful. Words can paint pictures. Words can make you feel chosen. But words without effort are empty. They sound good, but they don't hold weight. Anybody can say they care. Anybody can say they miss you. Anybody can say you're special. But love shows itself when effort shows up, especially when it would be easier not to try. Effort is checking in without being asked. Effort is making time, not excuses. Effort is showing interest in your life, your feelings, your well-being. Effort is consistency when emotions calm down and reality sets in. When a man truly loves you, effort becomes natural, not forced. He doesn't see it as work. He sees it as responsibility. Now let's talk about silence. because silence has broken more hearts than harsh words ever could. Silence leaves room for imagination. And imagination can be cruel. Silence makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder if you said something wrong, did something wrong, or weren't enough. But let me free you from that burden. Silence is not about your worth. Silence is about their choice. When someone goes quiet instead of communicating, they are making a decision. When someone pulls back instead of leaning in, they are answering you without speaking. When effort fades and silence takes over, the message is clear. You are no longer a priority. And the hardest part is accepting that the answer you wanted is not the answer you got. We struggle because silence feels unfinished. We think maybe if we wait, maybe if we're patient, maybe if we give them space, they'll come back. There's clarity. But here's the truth. People who care don't leave you guessing. People who love you don't disappear into silence and expect you to feel secure. Effort removes doubt. Silence creates it. And love has no business living in doubt. Sometimes silence is used as control. It keeps you waiting. It keeps you hoping. It keeps you emotionally invested while the other person does nothing. And while you're waiting for a response, for reassurance, for consistency, your energy is being drained. Love should energize you, not exhaust you. Not exhaust you. If someone wanted to talk to you, they would. If someone wanted to see you, they would. If someone wanted to keep you in their life, they would make that clear. We complicate this because we are emotionally attached. But behavior is simple. Effort always finds a way. Silence always avoids one. A man who loves you will not punish you with absence. He will not go quiet to make you anxious. He will not go quiet to make you anxious. He will not leave you alone with your thoughts while knowing your heart is involved. Love does not withhold. Love reassures. Love communicates, even when conversations are uncomfortable. And here's the part people don't like to hear. If someone can go days, weeks, or longer without speaking to you, they are already comfortable without you. That doesn't mean you're forgettable. It means they never fully committed. Love doesn't turn people into strangers overnight. Indifference does. Effort is the clearest form of respect. When someone puts in effort, they are saying, you matter. You were worth my time. You're worth my attention. Silence, on the other hand, says, I'm okay leaving you uncertain. And anyone who is okay with your uncertainty is not protecting your heart. You don't need louder words. You need clearer actions. You don't need explanations after the damage is done. You need consistency before doubt takes root. When effort fades, don't chase. Don't beg for it. Don't negotiate for basic communication. Because the moment you start asking for effort, you have already received your answer. Love should not make you feel like you are asking for too much when you are asking for too much when you are asking for the bare minimum. Presence is not extra. Communication is not a luxury. Effort is not optional. These are requirements. Silence teaches you who someone really is. It reveals how they handle responsibility, connection, and emotional maturity. And once you learn that lesson, you stop waiting for words to change and start listening to actions that already have. The moment you understand that effort is love's language, You stop misinterpreting silence as confusion. You recognize it as truth. And truth, even when painful, will always set you free. Ladies and gentlemen, let me speak to the part of you that's been tired, not because you've done too little, but because you've done too much for someone who kept disappearing. There comes a moment in life when you realize chasing love costs you more than being alone ever could. That moment is powerful because it's the moment you stop running after people and start standing up for yourself. You see, real love does not require pursuit. You don't have to hunt it down. You don't have to remind it you exist. You don't have to keep the conversation alive by yourself. Love that is meant for you moves toward you naturally. It doesn't need to be convinced. It doesn't need to be pressured. It doesn't need to be chased. Chasing begins when balance is lost. When you're the one always calling, always texting, always asking what went wrong, always trying to fix the distance. And the truth is, the moment you feel like you're chasing, the other person has already stopped walking beside you. Love is not a race where one person sprints while the other strolls away. A lot of people mistake effort for desperate, attain, but they are not the same. Effort is mutual. Desperation is one-sided. When you are the only one holding things together, you are not building a relationship. You are carrying a burden. And love was never meant to feel like weight on your chest. Self-worth enters the conversation the moment you decide to stop chasing what keeps running. Because every time you chase someone who disappears, you send yourself a message that your needs come second. You start teaching yourself that inconsistency is acceptable. You start shrinking your expectations just to keep someone in your life. And that is how people lose themselves trying to keep someone else. Let me tell you something important. You cannot chase someone into loving you. You cannot prove your value to someone who has already decided not to see it. No amount of patience, understanding, or loyalty will turn absence into commitment. Love is a choice, and if someone chooses distance, that choice is not yours to undo. When you stop chasing, something interesting happens. You regain clarity. You begin to see how much energy you were spending trying to hold on to someone who wasn't holding onto you. You realize how much peace you sacrificed just to avoid being alone. And you start to understand that loneliness inside a relationship hurts more than loneliness by yourself. A man who truly loves you does not need to be pursued. He steps forward willingly. He shows interest without being prompted. He reassures without being begged. He doesn't leave you wondering where you stand or questioning your importance. Love that is real removes doubt. It does not create it. Chasing keeps you focused on their absence instead of your own value. It keeps you stuck in hope instead of reality. You start waiting for messages that don't come, apologies that don't change behavior, and effort that never lasts. And while you're waiting, life is moving forward without you fully present. Self-worth means knowing when to stop explaining your pain to someone who keeps causing it. It means understanding that walking away is not losing. It's choosing yourself. It means recognizing that you deserve a love that meets you halfway, not one that expects you to do all the traveling. When you stop chasing, you don't become cold, you become clear. You don't stop caring, you stop overextending. You don't give up on love, you give up on being treated like an option. And that shift changes everything. People notice when you stop chasing, not because you're playing games, but because your energy changes. You stop reacting, you stop begging, you stop proving. And that calm confidence comes from knowing your worth does not decrease just because someone failed to stay. Here's the truth most people avoid. If someone disappears and you stop chasing them and they never return, they were never meant to stay. And that's not a loss. That's not a loss. That's protection. Love that requires you to abandon yourself is not love. It's attachment mixed with fear. The strongest position you can ever stand in is knowing that you will not pursue what does not pursue you back. You will not chase presence from someone who chooses absence. You will not fight for attention when attention should be freely given. When you choose yourself, you create space for the right kind of love, the kind that doesn't disappear, the kind that doesn't make you doubt, the kind that doesn't need to be chased because it arrives ready, steady, and sure. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring this home by talking about the one thing that changes everything when love disappears, and that is self-worth. Because the moment you truly value yourself, absence stops feeling like rejection and starts feeling like redirection. You stop asking, why wasn't I enough? And you start saying, I deserve better than this. See, self-worth is quiet confidence. It's not loud. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't argue with someone's lack of effort. Self-worth simply observes behavior and responds with boundaries. And when someone disappears from your life, self-worth doesn't panic. It pays attention. A lot of people tie their value to how someone treats them. If he stays, they feel worthy. If he leaves, they feel broken. But your worth was never handed to you by someone else. It didn't arrive with his attention, and it does not leave with his absence. You were valuable before he showed up, and you'll be valuable long after he's gone. When you lack self-worth, you explain away disrespect. You accept inconsistency. You wait for people who have already moved on emotionally. You keep the door open even when they keep walking out. But when self-worth grows, tolerance for confusion disappears. You stop making room for people who don't make room for you. Disappearing behavior hurts most when you believe love should be earned through endurance. You think if you just wait long enough, love will reward you. But love is not a test of how much pain you can survive. Love is not proven by how long you stay when someone keeps leaving. Love is proven by mutual effort, mutual respect, and mutual presence. Self-worth teaches you that being chosen consistently matters more than being wanted occasionally. Anybody can want you when it's convenient. Anybody can miss you when they're lonely. But love is about choosing you when commitment is required. And if someone disappears, they have chosen not to choose you. That realization can hurt, but it also heals. Because once you accept it, you stop holding on to false hope. You stop replaying memories, rereading messages, and waiting for a version of someone that only existed in the beginning you stole. P, living in the past and start standing in your truth. Self-worth also teaches you that you do not need closure from someone who disappeared. Closure comes from clarity, and clarity comes from observing actions. The disappearance itself is closure. It tells you everything you need to know about their emotional availability and readiness. You don't need an explanation that tries to soften the truth. When you value yourself, you don't chase apologies that don't come with change. You don't accept returns without accountability. You don't reopen wounds just to feel familiar comfort. You understand that peace is more valuable than temporary affection. A man who truly loves you will not make you question your worth. He will not make you feel optional. He will not leave you guessing. Love that is real adds to your life. It strengthens you. It reassures you. It does not pull away and leave you doubting yourself. Self-worth also changes how you see walking away. Walking away is not failure, it's wisdom. It's recognizing that staying where you are, not valued, costs you more than leaving ever will. It's choosing dignity over desperation. It's choosing long-term peace over short-term attachment. When you stop internalizing someone's absence, you stop breaking your own heart. You stop asking what you could have done differently. You stop blaming yourself for someone else's emotional limitations. You realize that some people are not capable of loving the way you deserve, and that truth has nothing to do with your value. And here's the most powerful shift of all. When you truly value yourself, you no longer fear someone disappearing because you know that if they leave, you will still stand. You will still be whole. You will still be enough. And you will still attract the kind of love that knows how to stay. Self-worth turns endings into beginnings. It turns loss into clarity. It turns pain into strength. And once you understand that, you stop begging love to remain. You become the kind of person who expects presence, honors consistency, and welcomes only what aligns with the value you already know you have.